so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Americans, and greetings to the 12 tribes which are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Welcome to another Sons of Isaac Israelite Congregation Sabbath class. So tonight's class, we're just going to go into a lesson entitled "The Holy Women of Yah." How should a woman of Yah be? What are the laws pertaining to women? Because there are laws that the Most High does show us, about about women, right? And how women how women should not be caught up in whoredom. The proper woman that uh, a daughter of Yah should be. You know, so we're just gonna go through some of those scriptures and just get some edification and understanding. So let's open up to the book of Leviticus, chapter 21. So we're gonna deal with the priest, right? So now, if you understand the biblical text, you'll see that in the New Testament it says that we are like a royal priesthood, right? So remember, we're not under the Aaronic covenant, you know what I'm saying, or the Aaronic priesthood, but we're under the priesthood of Christ. Okay, so now Christ is the new high priest that replaced, basically the sons of Aaron. All right, so now the brothers that take upon the office of, of what you would call teachers, you know what I mean, who are they're just like, brothers just like priests, you know what I mean. So there's a certain way, how the men have to be, how they still have to apply certain principles in which the priests had to uphold as well. All right. So I'm not talking about how the priests covered their head. No, we don't do that, because remember, Christ is our head. So we are in the image as a priesthood under Christ. We are in the glorious image, of the Mashiach. So, so also the women, have to understand that they have a role too. And how, you see so many sisters on social media, man, we talking about those that are in the truth and that profess themselves to be Israelites or Israelite women, and how they're just dabbling in all type of whoredom. You have sisters participating in worldly activities in Israel. So we just want to make sure that we correct those situations, man, scripturally, and just show how holy women of Yah should not be partaking of those things. I'll also be going into a lesson tomorrow dealing with the aspect of divorce. All right, can a woman divorce her husband? Okay. So, that is also a topic that, that needs to be covered as well in detail. So this is in the book of Leviticus chapter 21. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to start at we'll start at verse 1. So we can get an idea of what the chapter is speaking about. It says, "And Yahweh said unto Moses, speak unto the priest, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people." So you see that the priest could not be defiled, all right? Because remember, the priests had to stay holy and sanctified at all times, especially while they were on duty, all right? So you understand about the priest of the sons of Aaron, they were basically the leaders, and they were in charge of the entire operation of the tabernacle of the congregation. And later on, during the time of Solomon, once he built the temple, of course, the priesthood took over operations that were handled in the temple. All right. So the sons of Aaron had a very important role. They were chosen out of the tribe of Levi. All right. To handle the duties, all right, and be the closest to the Most High, all right. So they could not be defiled in any type of way. So now we're going to drop down, and we'll keep reading. So it says, but for his kins that is near unto him, that is for his mother and for his father and for his son and for his daughter and for his brother, And for his sister, a virgin that is nigh unto him, which hath no husband, for her may he be defiled. So it's showing you that, so it's showing you those that he could be defiled for. All right. But so now it says, but he should not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. So he couldn't participate in any type of unclean acts. All right. Anything that would make him unclean, he couldn't participate in those things. Remember, he worked, he was basically the holy man. All right. So just as the Pope professes himself to be a holy man and sanctified in the eyes of the people, right? Aaron was in the same manner, and also his sons. Okay. So they were to present themselves as holy, and they were to be clean. All right. Now it says, and he shall not defile himself, being a chief man amongst his people, to profane himself. They shall not make baldness upon you. Baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cutting in their flesh. You see that? So now you see that this is also something that applies to the entire nation of Israel as well. All right. But more so, even unto the sons of Aaron. All right. So remember, they could not make any type of baldness upon their head, so they couldn't be bald headed. Okay. So remember, when the nations that were round about them shaved their head, that was for the purpose of them worshiping the sun. Okay, they practiced that in ancient Egypt. All right, that's why they had the bald. That's why they were completely bald. The women shaved their head and the men shaved their head. Okay, to honor and worship the sun that will shine upon their head. Right. So then it says, and it says, and neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, so they couldn't be clean shaven. All right. We know that here in America, that's a popular trend, amongst jobs and certain companies, right? To where you have to be clean shaven because that's the image that they want to present. Well, the image for the Most High, that the priests had to present is that they had to be very well groomed. They could not be shaven bald. You know what I mean? They could not have shaved off their beard. They couldn't make any type of designs or anything like that, upon their beard. Because when the people see the priest, they see who else do they see? They see the Most High. You see that? They see Yahweh Shai. All right. So that is the closest to them. The priests were to have a very godlike, attitude and an appearance in the eyes of the people. All right. So it says, so now it says, and they couldn't have so they couldn't make any cuttings in their flesh. So they couldn't have tattoos and stuff like that. All right. So they couldn't have any of those things upon them. Okay. So now it says, they shall be holy unto their God, and not profane the name of their God, for the offering of Yahweh made by sacrifice, and the bread of their God they do offer, therefore they shall be holy. All right, meaning they shall be pure. Okay, they have to be pure because everything that they're dealing with in the temple is pure. Now, check this out, and this is something else that's very important. Verse 7, we want to make sure we key into this. They shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his God. You see that? So now this is what I'm getting to when I'm reading this. So you see that they couldn't take a woman that is a whore. So they just couldn't have any old woman, by their side. All right. So this woman, the woman that they had to take, right, she had to be a woman, of the daughters of Aaron, right? So when we open up to, let real quick, hold this. Let's open up to the book of St. John. Let's go to St. John. St. John, or actually Luke. Let's go to Luke. I'm sorry. Luke chapter 1. Now let's read this. We're going to read Luke chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 5. All right. So now it says, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron. Her name was Elizabeth. So you see that commandment, even a thousand years down the line, right? It still stood for the Levitical priest, right? So remember, they couldn't just take any old woman, right? She had to be what? She had to be of the same she had to be of the same tribe, okay, or the same family. So if a priest married anyone, especially the high priest, he had to be a daughter of Aaron. All right. And guess what? She also had to be a virgin. You see that? So she could not be just, she just couldn't already have had extra, marital relations. You know what I mean? So that's why the Most High says that woman, she could not be a whore. You can't take no whore, you know. And he says, what? Thou shalt not take a wife that is a whore or profane. You see that? He said, neither shall thou take a woman put away from her husband. So a woman that had been divorced, he could not marry that woman. You see that? The only way that okay, and you know what? I'm gonna let the rest of the law explain this, but what I'm trying to show you is, how the priest, how the type of woman that the type of women that they could not deal with. All right, they could not deal with a woman that's a whore. They could not deal with a woman that was profane as hell. You know, they could not deal with a woman that was put away. All right, but they had to do what? They had to deal with women. What? Let's read. Let's read this. Let's drop down and read verse 13. Let's check this out. And he shall take a wife in her virginity. So the priest had to take a wife who was a virgin. All right. She had to be a virgin in her virginity. So that means she couldn't have had any type of sexual contact with a man. All right. But we know that if he did take a woman, you know what I mean, who was a daughter of Aaron, right? She had to be a widow, right? Meaning her husband had died. Okay. So that means he just couldn't just marry out of, he couldn't marry out of the out of the priesthood. He had to marry a woman that understood his position, all right, as a high priest. Okay, so that means that daughter of Aaron, right, just like Elizabeth, her husband was of the priesthood. So Elizabeth, her growing up in that household, she understood the type of strenuous work that her husband had to do. All right, because she seen her father go through it. She understood how much time her father had to spend away from home. She had to understand her place and her position by watching her mother, her being patient. Okay. So she had to see all of these different things. And a lot of these principles, man, still carry on to, should carry on to our people today, right? Especially the brothers that have wives, that are in a teacher's position. And the women who are in the knowledge, right? They also have to come into this same understanding too, to understand that their husband is a teacher, right? And his time is limited. You see that? Because it also explains that in the New Testament. Paul speaks about that a lot, because you can get very busy. Why? Because you're doing so much. You know what I mean? Your day start at the crack of dawn, right? So just imagine the Levitical priest, right? He may have some moments to spend with his wife and with his family, you know what I mean, outside of his course, right? But when he's on duty, his time is devoted to the Most High. You see that? His absolute complete focus is the Most High. You understand? That's how important his job was, right? He couldn't go into his job being not focused, right? Because not being focused would get him killed. So his wife had to understand these things, all right? And sisters now in this time, they also have to understand that too, all right? Your husband can't go in, man, go in and teach his people and, try to, be a pillar, you know what I mean, unto others, man, when you're just trying to put so much on them. You understand? Wives nowadays have to be pillars of rest. You see that? Helpers, aids to their mates, right? Just as, just as uh, these women who I was talking about, the daughters of Aaron, how they had to watch their mothers, you know what I'm saying, and how they operated, it was the same. It should be the same way now that your daughter watches you. You see that today? So she has to watch you because she may have a husband that comes into this knowledge and he is a teacher and his time may be limited, you know? He may not have as much time. You see that? So even women that dealt with men who were warriors had to go through the same affairs, right? Your husband is in charge of the defense of the nation. You see that? But you want to sit here and nag him for time? You don't come home anymore. You've been gone for 6 months. I can't take this no more. I'm out of here. Baby, I'm sitting here defending our people. We just had destroyed the Edomites man that tried to come and invade the land. What do you want me to do? Quit, quit, and not serve my nation? See that? So your mind state has to be on an entirely different level, man. You have to have an entirely different level of understanding, when it comes down to, the understanding of work. And I believe when you start digging into this law and you reading about the position that the priesthood had, it would help you a little bit more to understand the position that your husbands do have in this day and age as teachers, as men of God, and how much focus they have to put into the work of God, right? How they are servants for the people. You know what I mean? So, the Most High doesn't allow, a woman to altogether become lonely and we without her husband, you know what I mean? But understanding that the time will be limited. All right. So that's why they had courses set up, man. You know what I mean? So there were men in rotation. All right. So every man could get their proper time to spend with their family, so on and so forth. Right. So it says in verse 13 again, he shall take a wife in her virginity. So he had to marry a wife that was a virgin, a widow or a divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife, right? So the Most High showed you that it was strict that a priest took a wife that was a virgin. She could have not been a widow or a woman who was divorced or profane, right? But we know that the aspect of the divorced, excuse me, of the widow changed. All right. The Most High said if a priest did take a wife that was a widow, that was down the line in the book of Ezekiel. If he did, she had to be of the daughters of Aaron. Period. All right. She couldn't be outside. Was there a shortage of virgins at that time? I believe so. Yes. Because remember, man, our nation women were being ravaged. You know, so you can only imagine population decline, all of that. So it could have been like that. All right. So it's showing you that the Most High said that she had to be a virgin. Now, how does that apply to us today for brothers who are teachers and priests, right? And how does that apply for the women? Remember, a woman, she has to make sure that she is spiritually, she's a virgin once again, once she repents in Christ. All right. So yes, we know that physically, that woman, she may have been into God knows what, right? She may have been the biggest, whore on the face of the planet, right? But remember, once her mind state changes and she begins to cleanse her spirit, you know what I mean? She spiritually becomes a virgin, right? She is a new creature in Christ. All right. But a woman that is unchanged, remember, there she doesn't. If you're unchanged, you cannot become a new creature. So brothers have to make sure that when they're dealing with a woman, right, especially in the truth, she has to be spiritually pure. She has to be knowledgeable of the law, statutes, and commandments of the Father. She cannot be one, you know what I'm saying, that is still dabbling in the world, that's still caught up in the ways of the world, that still want to twerk, that still want to sit there and do unlawful things, you know what I mean? Who want to sit there and just mind what's on Facebook and all of that. Brothers can't have those type of women, you know what I'm saying, connected to them. They have to have brothers have to have sisters, you know what I mean, that are like minded as they are. right? They're into the work of Yah. They're about taking care of their households. They show passion and devotion to the Most High, man, without their husband being around them. You see that? That's what's the most important thing too. Because now, if this man is away, then who's going to be the one responsible for the children? The wife is. Now she has to guide the household. So what when you look at a lot of those old movies, man, who was the one that was guiding the house? The wife was. Even during slavery, man, who was the one who was in charge of the whole king caboodle? The white slave wife, slave master's wife. She oversaw everything. You know what I mean? While her husband was off doing God knows what. You see that? So down to the kitchen, down to the handmaids, the what was going on everywhere, and anything that pertained to the house, she was in charge of. The husband, he took care of the business aspect and brought in the money. You see that? So it's the same thing, you know what I mean? Even that applies with us. All right. So a woman has to be a spiritual virgin. She has to take care of her spiritual virginity, right? She just can't give her spiritual virginity just to any and every Jake that claims to know Yah. All right. She has to have the spirit of discernment so cold, man, that she can sit and say, you know what, brother, that was you. Hell no, I'm not dealing with you. What the hell is going on, man? You still live with your mama? You ain't even trying to grow. You're not a part of no organization. You ain't even trying to build an organization. You're not teaching nobody. You just sitting on your ass all day, just looking at YouTube videos, talking about giants in the book of Jasher and all of that crap. A woman that guards her spiritual virginity, she should be able to see things like that. Mm-hmm. That has a cold spiritual discernment, she should be able to pick up on those things, and she has to. But that comes with her learning. That comes with her understanding the actual type of man that she should have in her life, and that's something that the scriptures teach you. You see, certain sisters, they cool by themselves. They don't mind being to themselves and going through the fire. You know what I mean? Some just they just can't handle it. You know, some were just too of the flesh, and they can't control themselves. Scriptures talk about all of that. But women really have to understand, especially Israelite women have to understand, man, that guarding your virginity is everything. Women took pride in their virginity when you read the Bibles. Remember the sister, that her father had to sacrifice Jethro, right? He had to sacrifice his daughter because he made a vow to the Most High. The first thing that comes out of him, he was going to offer to the Lord. Now, I said they made it a custom in Israel that they did what? That they went to visit this woman memorial, right? So it said that she bewailed her virginity too much because she would never know the pleasures of being a good wife. You see that? Rearing children, taking care of a household. You see that? So you see sisters took pride in that. Look at Tamar, David's daughter. You see that? She it says that she wore she wore bright colors and stuff, man, to show that she was a virgin. You know what I mean? Women took pride in their virginity. Ain't no man been me. I'm saving this for my husband, the one who I truly love and adore, the one who I know is going to follow Yahweh with all his heart and all his soul. So that's what our women have to get back to, man. That's what being a holy woman of Yah is all about, man. Having that discernment and make sure that you're guarding your virginity, all right, your spiritual virginity now. And as our children, especially our daughters, grow up, then they safeguard their spiritual and their physical virginity. Okay. So let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Let's check this out. Something else we got to pick up on too. So 1 Corinthians 7, and we're going to start at verse 34. 7 and 34 says, now it says, there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin, And an unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. So now what do we get from that? What do we get from that? So Paul shows you that there's a difference between, between a married woman, right? And a virgin, right? Meaning an unmarried woman. You know, the unmarried woman, she's going to be able to care. She's going to care for the things, you know what I'm saying, that pertain to the Lord, right? She's going to be more worried about, preserving her body. Remember what I just remember what I just got through talking about, the spiritual, you know what I'm saying, her spiritual virginity, and also caring for, caring about her physical. You understand? So she's not going to just give herself to any and everybody, right? And that's one of the main problems, man, that daughters of Israel have right now. They just giving themselves to these jakes, man, that don't know nothing, and they're just, and they're falling, they're becoming victims. You know what I mean? And now the jake that they start dealing with, you he done please the flesh, and now he doesn't give two squats or a dime, man, about the woman he just laid with, no matter how beautiful she is. You see that? So that's why, we got to really understand, man, the position that a woman has, man, especially a holy woman of Yah. All right. The holy woman of Yah, remember, there's a difference. There's going to be a difference between a virgin and then a married woman. So then the virgin woman, she's gonna look out for the smart one. All right. The one who is scripturally sound. She's not going to give herself to any and everybody. Okay. So now we're dealing with the married woman. The married woman, she's going to be more focused on the things of the household, period. That's what he mean by the things of the world, you know. So she's not going to be as focused on Yah as she should be. All right, because she understands she got to take care of the household. She got to, please her husband. She got to, make sure, everything is right when husband come home. Listen to him and his problems. All of these different things come in as a factor. All right, but that's what we have to really, begin to understand, man. Of course, a married sister and a younger sister, they're not going to be able to mesh and hang out, like two single sisters, in Christ will be able to, right? Because these sisters are more, they're free, so they're going to be able to, hang out and stuff like that. As for a married woman, her time is limited, all right, because she has a family, she has a husband she has to deal with, you know. But the things that a single sister still can learn from the sister that is married, all right, even though there's a difference, all right. So I just wanted to bring that out, man. So holy women, smart women, educated sisters of Yah, man, they will always learn and build upon, build upon each other. Okay, that's just one of the most important things. All right. So now let's go into the book of Genesis. Let's go into Genesis, man. Let's see where the cause of all of the chaos and the problems, happened with, our women. All right. In Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. So now it says, now the serpent was made subtle. Excuse me, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree that is in the garden? So this is a question that the servant is asking the woman. Shall ye not eat of every tree that is in the garden? And this is what the woman says, right? This is what Eve told the serpent. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Right? So what was the problem here? You'll see that this was a serpent, and I advise every sister, man, to go back and read this story thoroughly. Okay? because this also is going to teach you how to watch out for those snakes. You understand what they call them, snake niggas? You want to watch out for those type of men. You want to watch out for those men who are subtle in their speech, you know, how they can give you just so much good information, right? To make you bypass everything else, man. You know, everything else that's spiritual, right? About you just discerning this type of individual. You see that? Because just because a man can teach you don't mean he can take care of you. And just because a man take care of you don't mean he can teach you. You see that? But guess what? He has to have the proper balance, man. You know, he has to be. You know, the scriptures show you all of that, man. How your husband has to, how your husband should be, the type of husband that you should have. Okay. But I really want you guys to really key into this story, man, because you see this the spirit. This is a spirit that's on so many Jakes now, right? That are deceiving women, man, in Israel. Okay, and I'm not even gonna get on the women, man, that's doing it. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to focus more so on our holy women, right? Women that should or that's in the process of becoming holy. So now it says a woman, excuse me, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So now you see that Eve, she's explaining to the serpent, man, the Lord told us we can't partake of the, we can partake of all of the other fruits of the spirit, but yet the spirit of sin, we're not supposed to partake of that. Period. That's what the Lord God had told us, or we're going to die. And then now watch how the serpent, this man that has the spirit of Satan upon him, actually twists and bends and manipulates this woman just like that, right? Just with his subtleness of words. You see that? You see that? Now check this out. So now it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So we told her, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna surely die. Crazy. Check this out. For God doeth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Right. So now, what just happened here? Now he not only did he take away the judgment, right? But now he's bending the script to her appeal. You see that?
Basically saying she doesn't have to obey
He
the
he
Most High.
he's basically showing her that she can still partake of it, and there won't be any type of consequence for you doing so. You see that? So it's just like a brother sitting there saying, like, yeah, you know what? I give you like just an example of false doctrine. You know what? Sex is not marriage. You don't have to worry about that. You got to sign a kintubah. That's what's going to make us married. You see that? You don't have to worry about that. We can free and casually just have sex. You know, I still claim you as my woman, but as far as us being married, we have to sign the kintubah first. We have to sign that first. You see that? So now he just basically he just appealed to this woman's, you know what I'm saying, vice or temptation. You see that? And it goes into many other different examples, man. But I'm just pointing out that one,
Mm.
you know. So basically, he's appealing to her, to her weakness. All right, trying to stroke her ego and just letting her know, like, look, it's okay. You're not gonna die if you partake of this. But the reason why he's trying to suppress your knowledge of this because he knows that you are going to become much wiser, that you're going to become much smarter than man whom he's placed over you.
Mm.
So if you partake of this, you'll have the power now, and ain't nothing gonna happen to you. But see, and now what happens here? Now she's going against the order that has been set. And this is why the Most High had to remind Eve later on, man, that you gonna listen to your husband. You're gonna have desire for him. He's gonna rule over you, your husband. And then we see in the New Testament, man, that it shows, you know what I'm saying, when Paul breaks it down, like, yo, wives, you gotta submit to your own husbands as unto the Lord. See that? You have to submit to him. You can't just be jumping, listening to these different Jakes, man, letting other Jakes teach you and all of that. especially if your man is in the truth and he's knowledgeable. You see that? So women want to pick women, and I advise sisters, man, you have to make sure, man, that you're not picking novice. Do not deal with novice, man. If a man is a novice in this knowledge, do not do it, man. You understand? Because for one, he's still a baby. He's still a baby in understanding. He doesn't know anything. And then you have to make sure that that this that this, if this man can't teach you, then what else does he have to offer you? You see that? Sex is nothing.
No,
you understand? But I'm just what I'm saying is that
no, I know what you're saying.
what I'm saying is that for sisters who desire to be taught, who desire for a man to teach them, you know what I'm saying? They have to make sure that they make the right decision in the man that they're choosing. All right. I mean, red flags just don't magically appear. A woman has to be able to spiritually discern the type of man that they're dealing with. You understand? Now, if she just goes along with it, if the man is broke as a joke, you know what I mean, and but he just sounds good, and you want to deal with that headache, then so be it. That's a problem that you put upon yourself, because the scriptures talk about a woman that when she maintains her husband, she is full of anger and much bitterness. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just how it is. If a woman want to put that type of stress on herself, you understand? But the scriptures give you that warning. All right. So we see that Eve was deceived. You know what I mean? The scripture was bent and she broke basically the order. All right. So the order was, when we go into that First Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 1. In verse 1. All right. You can just write that one down. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to just read it for just for if there's somebody who's new that's listening, they can go in and they can go and read it too. They can hear it being read. So let's go to the book of First Corinthians chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse 1. So it says, be ye followers of me, even I also am of Christ. So Paul is talking about being an example. All right. Look at him as an example. You know what I mean? As Christ is an example to him. So he says, now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinances, meaning the laws, as I deliver them to you. So Paul is talking about he's delivering the laws to you. In the New Testament right here, he's delivering the laws, right? Now check this out. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ, right? So over the man, Christ is the head of the man. You see that? So so a woman should know this much. You have a husband, Christ is his head. Christ should be his head, the one over him. All right. And the head of every woman is the man, and every woman should know that her head, right, or her covering is the man. You see that? So whatever orders that the man receives from Christ, right, then the man delivers them unto his wife. Okay. Not the other way around. You see that? That's the problem. See, many sisters put themselves in that type of predicament where, they meet a new brother, then they want to start teaching them. Yes, you an Israelite, blah, 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 blah. And he don't know nothing. And then you expect him to pick up and teach you something. And he don't know nothing. That's why I said, stay away from those who are novice. You understand? Those who are babe in their understanding, right? Because they're not going to be able to teach you the way you need to be taught. Okay. So now it says, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. So the Most High is over Christ. You see that? So now you have the Most High, Christ, you have man, and then you have woman. Okay. Then the woman are over the children. You see that? So that is the order. Okay. From heaven unto the earth. So this is the actual order in which Eve basically broke, and Adam also broke, and when he decided to partake of the foolishness also, right? So they broke this divine law. Okay, so now let's get an example of how a woman, you know what I'm saying, she covers herself in the presence of her husband. All right, let's go to the book of Genesis 24. Genesis 24. Genesis 24, and we're going to get verse 60. We're going to get verse 65. Or actually, we're going to start verse 64. Nope, 63. We'll start at 63. So now it says, and Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide. So it was evening time, so he decided to meditate. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lightened off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? So she's asking, what manner of man is this that walketh to meet us? And what would the servant say? And the servant told, excuse me, let me go back up. For she saw, for she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. So when he told her that's my master, so she already understood that that was her husband. You see that? Because remember, it had been arranged. All right. So it had already been arranged. So she understood the man that she was dealing with was her husband, and she covered herself, meaning she showed that she was ready and she was willing. You understand? And she had absolute trust, you know what I'm saying, in this man. All right. And we see that that trust, man, that she put forth into our father Isaac, it paid off. You understand? Because she was taken care of. She had, two beautiful boys by this man, even though one was wicked as hell and the other was righteous. She still had two wonderful children by him. All right, and Isaac was satisfied with her. Okay. So now let's finish reading. So it says, therefore she took a veil and she covered herself. So she covered her head, she covered her face. You know what I mean? She was ready to present herself. And remember, that just shows you, man, that she was ready to submit unto Isaac, her husband. All right. So that's one thing, man, that sisters really got to understand too. Being holy women of Yah, you have to have that level of submission, and you have to be ready to submit. You know. So now let's read, and it says. That he just got what he wanted and that was it. No, he genuinely loved this woman, as every husband should. Should love their wives, man. But see, when you still caught up in the flesh, that type of love, it's not going to show, because you see that these men nowadays, especially Israelite jakes, they still caught up in the world, man. So when they sit there and they get what they want with this woman, they buttering her up and letting her know, oh yeah, baby, I love you. I'm gonna be there for you. They bust that one, and then they snap back to reality. And next, what did I do? What did I do? What have I done? Oh man, it's something else better out there, man. I just messed it up dealing with this chick. You know what? No, man, no man should have that type of mind state, man. Let me tell your sisters this, man. If a man tell you you're not married to him after y'all done have sexual relations, don't be fooled by that. You understand? Do not be fooled by that. All right. That's why tomorrow, man, that's why she had told Amnon, sending me away is worse than what you done did to me now. You might as well just keep me now. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important, man, for sisters not to be foolish, man, and in their decision making. You know what I mean? You have to make sure that you go through the entire process and the steps of marriage, man, because they will save you from a lot of heartache and a lot of pain and making the wrong decision and choice. And next, you searching online for Israelite brothers to try to, you know, oh, I need help now. I don't know what to do. He's being this way and that way. He wants me to leave. He doesn't want me to be around. And what do I do? He doesn't want to do anything now. He told me he loved me. Now he doesn't. He's acting like he doesn't love me anymore. I see he's talking to so many other women, you know. So it's like, why put yourself through that? Why put yourself through that stress? Why put yourself through that heartache when you could just easily have avoided all of that and took the proper steps to understand the brother that you're dealing with? Have more spiritual sense, spiritual discernment, discretion. You see that? You know what I mean? Exactly. Never be hasty to give a man credit. That's the problem, man, with certain brothers and certain sisters, right? It's in the knowledge, man. They too hasty. They too hasty and they give credit to the wrong people. All right. But we see in certain instances, man, where things can go smoothly, you know what I mean? But we're looking at a completely different time and a completely different era. All right. So now let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 25. 1 Samuel chapter 25. Let's deal with, let's deal with sisters, righteous sisters, good sisters, dealing with idiotic men. You understand? So, 1 Samuel chapter 25, and we're going to start at verse 1. Actually, we'll start at verse 3. So now it says, now the man, now the name of the man was Nabal. So Nabal, when you look it up in the Hebrew, it means foolish, foolish or pious, right? So Nabal was basically a foolish man, childish, right? Childish meaning, he was very much like a reveler, a very evil man. Okay. And the name of his wife, Abigail, she was a woman of good understanding. Now you see that real quick. It says that she was a woman of good what? Of good understanding. So now, however she came about this man that she was dealing with, she could have been promised to him. You know what I mean? She could have been promised to this man at a very young age, and she had no choice but to marry this foolish man. You know what I mean? Because that's who that's who her dowry was being built up by all these years. So you never know. So it shows you that she was a woman of good understanding, all right, and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was childish and evil in his doings. Look at that. So it says that he was a childish man. He was evil in his doing. Real quick, let's look up childish. I really want to get that definition so that sisters don't think that I'm being just biased in my teaching. Childish. Let's look at that. It says here, and I'm looking at the Webster Dictionary online. It says not polite. It says resembling or characteristics of a churl or vulgar, right? It says marked by lack of civility or graciousness, difficult to work with or to deal with, right? So it says boorish. So these are the synonyms. Boorish, clownish, clashish, cloddish, clututious, unclod, right? Let's look at vulgar. So it says vulgar, not having or showing good manners, good taste, or politeness, related to the common people of the speech or common people. But that was it. That was it. That's all I wanted. So basically, this man was, he did not have very good manners. All right. So basically, he could have been very rude to his wife. You know what I mean? He could have been abusive at one point. At some point. You know what I mean? He could have just treated her with absolutely with no respect. But that's just the man that she had to deal with. But it shows you that she was a woman of good understanding. She had a beautiful countenance about her, right? Now let's read on. And it says, but the man was childish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, peace, both be both to thee and peace to thine house, and peace to all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast sheared sheep. Now thy shepherds, which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them, all the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore, let the young men find favor in thy eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and unto thy son David. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all the words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Talking about Saul. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told all the sayings. And David said unto his men, gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode with the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out in the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. Look at that. Hold on, let's look at that word. It said he railed on them. He railed on them. This is the second one. Here we go. This is the fourth definition. Intertransit verb. It says to revile or scourge in harsh, insolent, or abusive language. So he was basically, what they say, cursing them out. He was scolding them. You know what I mean? This is how Nabal was coming to, talking to David's servants, right? This is why David was peeved. He was pissed. All right. So now let's read on. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything as long as they were conversant with them. We were conversing with them when we were in the fields. They were a wall unto us both by night and day, and all the while were with them keeping the sheep. So they was helping them out. Basically, what David and his men were doing. They were basically helping them out, protecting them. So then it says, now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial. So look, when he says son of Belial, he's such a son of worthlessness. You know what I mean? This is what his own servants are saying about him. By his own actions, right? But this is what the servant was telling his wife because they knew his wife had some sense in her. Okay. So it said that she was a woman of what? Good understanding. So now let's see what action that Abigail took. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, go on before me, behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal, so she did not tell her husband, all right, what she was about to do. You know why? Because her husband would have said, hell no, you ain't about to go and do that. You ain't giving him nothing. He would have prevented it and he would have died, right? But her being a smart woman, right? And her understanding her position, she did what? She went and did something for her husband. We're going to read about what she did. Let's read. So it says, and it was so as she rode on the ass that she came down by the covert of the hills. And behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. And David had said, surely in vain have I kept all this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertaineth unto him, and he hath required me evil for good. Look at that. Requited me evil for good. He's like, man, I've watched this man. I protected this man's shears. I protected his shepherds. And next, I protect everything that this man has in the field in the wilderness. And this man, he returned evil to me. So more and also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertaineth to him by the morning light anything that pisseth against the wall. So David was angry. And when Abigail saw David, she hastened and lightened off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me, let all this iniquity be. But look at that. She said, let all of his sin be placed upon me, my Lord. You see that? So she's pleading for her husband. See that? He is evil and as wicked as that man was, man, and how wrong his actions was. She was sitting there pleading for this man. She knew that she would have been destroyed too. So it says, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. So you see that? See his name. So he was called foolish. She said, just so as his name is foolish, so is he. So she's letting David know. She's letting him know that he's a worthless man. It says, Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood and from avenging thyself with thine own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal, foolish. And now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. You see that? So she's basically she's letting David know, here. All right. So she's like, and I pray thee forgive the trespass of thy handmaiden, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord. Look at that. So she even knew. She's like, you fight the battles for the Lord. You fight for the Lord. So it says, and it says, the battles of the Lord, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee and to seek thy soul, but but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundles of life with the Lord thy God, and the soul of thine enemies, them shall he silent sling out as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord shall have done to my Lord according to all good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, neither thou hath shed blood causelessly, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. So she's like pleading, when you do become king of Israel, when the Lord put all the enemies in your hand, please, don't let what was done here today be in your remembrance. So it says, but when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. So she's like, remember everything that I'm telling you. And David said to Abigail, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. and blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou. We said, blessed is your advice. You know what I mean? So she was also advising him. So it says, which hath kept me this day from coming to shed blood and from avenging myself on mine own hand. You know, so he was ready to come and kill this man. You know what I mean? Because David did not like being disrespected. You see that? What happened when David was disrespected by the Ammonite king? It said that David took a full power, man, and I'm talking about he damn near exterminated the people. I'm talking about he put them through axes, saws, all of that. Put them in bricklins. Bricklins are like smoke houses, right? Where they set them on fire, and the people they just push inside and kill them. Wow. You see that? That's how cold, man. That's how cold our warriors were. And that's how, man. We do not take disrespect lightly. You understand? But see now, man, we get disrespected all day, man, and it's like nothing. Nations kill us. We get disrespected like it ain't nothing. We get blackface and all of that stuff, yup. And it's nothing. You see that? But man, brothers was taking militaries out and destroying cities because of this being disrespected, and enslaving a people because being disrespected. You see that? So David did not take that lightly. That's why he was coming. He was going to kill this man, and he was going to take everything that this man had. All right. But his wife, Nabal's wife, came on his behalf and asked for forgiveness. You understand? She was asking for forgiveness, you know, and she also was giving him reverence. She like, I know you're gonna become the king of Israel. I know you know, the Lord's gonna put the enemies up under your feet. You know, just remember me this day, the handmaid. You know, remember my advice, all of that. All right. So David gave her praise. So he says, kept me this day from coming to shed blood and from avenging myself upon my own hand. For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hastened and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So, like I said, he was coming to kill everybody. He was going to kill her. See that? He was coming to kill everything. So that's why he was like, man, I was coming to destroy you. I was coming to destroy him. I was coming to destroy everything that this man has. But thank you. He says, so David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, go up in peace to thine house. See, I have hearkened to thy voice, and have accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he had hold a feast in his house, like the feasting of kings, and Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. Right. She told him, I gave him this X, Y, and Z. He was about to come and murder all of us. He gonna kill all of us. And it was like he couldn't take it, and his heart gave out. Right. So now it said, and when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, blessed be the Lord God that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. So he took Abigail to be his wife. You see that? But the thing is, he waited. Her husband was dead. You see that? So that marriage was basically, that spiritual tie that they had to one another was gone. Now he could take this woman to be his wife. You understand? So she was basically a widow. But in the end, the Most High gave David another wife of understanding. All right. And, it just goes to show you, man, that, she was, that Abigail was a sister she was very wise. She was very good understanding. You understand? So she was an understanding woman. So that's why she was able to go to David and talk to him the way she was able to talk to him. So just like with Sister Judith, right? Showing you how she was wise and she was very witty with her words. You know what I mean? To basically, stroke a man's ego. You know what I mean? And she was able to talk David. She was able to calm David's spirit down. All right. So that also women can take a lot from this as well, as far as like how to help your husband, calm him down. You know what I mean? A calm his spirit when he is going overboard and when he's angry. You know what I mean? Or upset. You know. So it's a lot of examples in the scriptures that sisters can read, man, and just really just sit down and meditate upon the spiritual things. Like, what would you do in that situation? You got to think, but what would I do in this situation? I'm with a foolish man, and he's not. There's nothing good that's coming out of his mouth. He's not doing anything good. You know what I mean? But paying the damn bills. You know, but yet, it's a man that's about to come and kill all of us. Because my husband's foolishness. So what should I do? You know. So that's just something, man. It's definitely a good chapter, man. Definitely, going into read it and really dissect it. All right. So let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22, and we're going to read verse 5. So as I said, there's much to go over as far as dealing with the women and scriptures, women dealing with the laws, pertaining to women. But there's more stuff that we can go into later. So it says in Deuteronomy 22 and 5, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God, right? So this is talking about the women who want to justify, wearing pants, and a woman is not to wear pants, sisters, period. Daughters of Yah do not wear pants. Understand that. All right. You are to wear dresses. You are to, wear dresses. Modest dresses, not anything all tight, showing off the curves, not putting on, lingeries and putting it on your social media and all of that, showing off your curves. You ain't supposed to be doing any of that. You're not supposed to be wearing those type of clothes. But you're supposed to do all things in modesty and in decency, right? you know. So pants is not something that women should wear. Women did not start wearing pants until after World War II. All right. Black women began to pick it up, man, after the so-called white women began to put those things on. You know. So you see black women began to catch on to the fashion. They started putting on the bell bottoms and and it's just crazy. You know what I mean? How can you tell a woman's clothes from a man's clothes? You know, it's like you really couldn't, because now a woman is wearing pants. Now you have a man. Now you wearing that which pertaining to a man, and then now you have vice versa. So a woman sitting here talking about, no, that's talking about how a woman can't wear military clothes. Well, what military clothes do a woman wear? Pants. She puts on pants. She straps a gun on around her shoulders, right? But the thing that I'm looking at more so is the pants that she's putting on.
The thing is, most women don't wear military.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, when you look at it in the army, right?
Mm-hmm.
Army, Navy SEALs, etc., they wear pants.
Mm-hmm.
You see that they may wear skirts, when they're off duty or whatever the case may be, but when they're in combat mode, they throw on them damn pants.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? So women wear pants in the military, you know. So I've seen like the military exercises and marches or military parades that they be having in other countries. Man, the women they throw them in skirts and they be marching in heels.
In other countries, huh?
Yep, they marching heels. China, I seen one of their military parades. They had like almost 10,000 women just in skirts, just marching. You know what I mean? So here in the U.S., you see the women in pants, marching in pants. So it says, so now, even men, It says, neither shall men put on a woman's garment. So men are not to be wearing dresses. Men do not or should not be wearing kilts. You understand? Men should not be wearing kilts. You see P. Diddy, you know what I mean? Kanye West, R. Kelly, all of those men in kilts. That is disgusting. Young Thug in a 7-year-old little girl's dress. You know what I mean? That is not style. That's not style. You see men walking around with purses, women's backpacking, women's purses, and thinking that's a style, man. But that's all dealing with the effeminization, man, of the black man. You understand? That's talk. That's you're talking about psychological warfare. That's psychological warfare being waged on us. Even the masculine spirit that's being put out there, by our oppressors, dealing with our woman. Masculine spirit. The woman is out in front. The man is behind. Period. You can't fool me with anything else, because society is showing me otherwise. Society is showing me that the scriptures is on point with everything. The woman is out in front, the man is right behind her. It's like the roles have been reversed. Check out that lesson. All right, I did on YouTube. But anyways, so you know, the women are supposed to wear holy attire. All right, that's just basically scriptural. Okay, so now, let's go to Proverbs chapter 31. Proverbs 31. Or actually, before I get Proverbs 31, I want to get Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, and I want to read verse 57. But check this out. Or actually 56. And it says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which should not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughters. Right. So this is the curse of, the so-called black woman, Hispanic, and Native American woman. Right. You know, so you see the evils that come upon sisters nowadays, man, is just crazy, right? And then you see the evils that they're doing, man, it's just even more barbaric. You know, how many articles can we read about, just evil things just happening, man, in the black household? You see that? You know, and not just to talk about the woman, but just the man too, man. A man impregnating his woman's teenage daughters, meaning his stepdaughter. So this man just committed incest. If you land with that woman, guess what? That woman that is your wife, and those children, those girls are your stepdaughters. You understand? The Most High shows you, man. You have sex with those girls, your ass is committing incest. You know, and the Most High has strict laws against that. So all of that stuff, man, you know what I'm saying? That our people doing, those are evils, man. Straight evils. All right. And this is why sisters in Israel, man, have to be careful about the men that they deal with. Again, you know, don't deal with men who are in the world. Yeah. You understand? You have to be patient. You basically have to be patient, and you have to wait upon Yah to deliver you the proper spouse that you desire. Mm-hmm. But you want to make sure that you learn first, man, and build yourself up before you think about taking on, or being a wife to a husband. You know what I mean? Especially, if you want to start raising children, or especially if you have children already. Excuse me. So now you see that there's so much evils, man, that happen, all right, when things aren't done correctly. And sisters definitely have to be aware and take note of a lot of those situations of women that go through those things in the world. All right. Be mindful of those things, man. So now it says, and towards her young ones which cometh out from between her feet, and towards her children, which she shall bear, for she shall eat them in one of all things secretly in the siege and straitness within thine enemies, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. So now, as you can see, you see that what begins to happen in this situation. You know what I mean? The woman begins to even destroy her children. You know, and we see that on many different occasions, man, with sisters in the world. All right, you don't want that happening when you're in this knowledge. You don't want your marriage to implode or be destroyed. Because you're not doing things right. All right. You want your children, if you're a sister that has children, you want the new father of your children to be right in his head and want to take on those children and be a father to them, even if he has children already. Or if you're a sister that don't have children, you want to make sure that you have a child by the right man, because once you sit down and have a baby by another man, you know what I mean? What Israelite man is gonna? I mean, excuse me. You get pregnant by another man. What Israelite man is going to deal with you? That man that you lay with, his spirit is still inside you. So you can write down Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 10. That shows you, man, real evil. These women, man, was boiling their children alive during the siege of 70 AD. They was boiling their children alive. And also the siege of 586. They was boiling their children alive, cooking their children, man. And this is what Jeremiah was witnessing with his very eyes. Women out in the open streets and cauldrons, man, just killing their kids and eating them because there was no food left. All right. That's evil. That's evil. That's what happens, man, when Yah has completely just abandoned you. So let's get Proverbs chapter 30. We'll get verse 10. And
Not 31.
yeah, Proverbs 31 and verse 10. I'm tripping. This will be the last scripture. So it says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. So who can find a virtuous woman, man? So her price is far above rubies. That's one thing you have to really understand. All right. So now check this out. So when a man finds a virtuous woman, that's a beautiful thing. Now there's one more scripture that I want to go into real quick. That's First Peter chapter 3, and I'm gonna go into a more in-depth lesson on this scripture too for sisters. First Peter chapter 3, and I want to get verse 5. And it says, or actually let's start at verse 5. And it says, for after this manner in old times, the holy women also who trusted in Yah adorned themselves, being subject unto their own husbands, right? So remember, that's going back to Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22, talking about how women have to be subject unto their husbands in everything. All right. So that's why he goes back and says, of old time, the holy women also who trusted in Yah. So if you don't trust in Yah, then guess what? You're in the wrong faith. You understand? You're definitely in the wrong culture. You might as well go join one of those heathenistic cultures, man. Because if you don't trust in Yah, then you're not gonna survive long in the truth. All right. So that's why it says, man, they trust in Yah, adorning themselves, being subject to their own husbands. So they trusted the Most High so much that they were subject to their own husbands. Mm-hmm. You see that? Look at Abigail. She trusted the Most High so much that she was what? She was subject unto her foolish husband. You see that? But she made sure her trust was in who? With Yah. Yeah. You see women nowadays, man, they be at their wits end with some of these dudes, man. Mm-hmm. They don't know what to do. You see that? But now, where's your faith in Yah? Where's your fasting, your prayer, and your spiritual strength coming from? It ain't coming from Yah. Period. Now let's read on. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. You see, most women, they sit there, "Well, you gonna call him Lord? Like, that's an evil thing. You gonna call him Lord? Oh, I ain't calling no man Lord. That's your husband. Lord means husband. So it says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him husband, whose daughters ye are, so you the daughters of Sarah, right? And it says, as long as you do well. So as long as you do well, you're the daughters of Sarah. You're obedient as Sarah was to her husband Abraham. And it says, and not afraid with any amazement. Look at that. He said, and you are not afraid with any amazement. Most sisters, man, they sit there. I'm scared to submit to this. I'm scared to submit to a man. That's what most sisters are. Most women are scared to submit unto their husbands. You understand? But if you done lay with this man, you done told this man you love him, then obviously you trust him, so you might as well call him that's your Lord. That's the man that you submitted yourself to, so you might as well fully submit to this man. But that's why I give sisters all the advice in the world, man. Be holy women. Be pure in your conversation. Make sure that you're pure in your discernment, man, and who you're dealing with. You understand? Don't fall for that satanic serpent tongue. All right. He may be able to satisfy you for a little while, man, but he ain't gonna be able to satisfy you the way a righteous man will. And I'm talking about satisfy your spirit. All right. So with that, man, I hope sisters got some understanding. And please feel free to contact us. My email will be in the description box. So you can definitely email me if you have any more questions. So with that, I'm Korash Allah from Sons of Isaac Israelite Congregation. I'm a teacher. And I will say shalom to you.